As we continue to get farther and farther into Murder at Castle Nathria, we're going to see that deck lists are being refined very, very quickly. I've got an updated Wildseed Hunter list that we're going to take a quick look at. And I'm actually going to start at the bottom of the list here. I've still seen people running things like Collateral Damage, Altamore, and also Hydrolodon. So all those cards are actually just a little bit too slow. With this deck, we really need to be ending the game around turn 7, turn 8. And those heavy cards, sometimes you just don't even have time to be able to play them. And of course, if you get, an 8 mana card stuck in your hand early in the game, it's basically -1 card. So this particular deck, I think, is a little bit closer to what the final version is going to end up being. We're running a nice selection of 1-drops here. We've got 4 of them, including Peasants. Peasants can be good if they get you the card draw. If not, they at least force your opponent to remove them, and sometimes that can make your opponent make a play that they're not really happy with. It's probably correct to remove the Peasant, but overall it's a suboptimal play if there was no Peasant actually on the board. Back to running buffs, Dog Biscuit and Ramming Mount. Feels like it's just a little bit too good to ignore. And then also, of course, just the Wildseed list and Twin Bow Terror Coils being able to copy the spell or make the spell cast twice, actually just really, really strong. So for the mulligan here, we'd be looking, of course, for 1-drops. Peasant, only if you're going first on turn 1. We call that being on the play. So if you're on the play, you want the Peasant on turn 1. If you're on the coin, you don't, you're going to want to look for something else. And you're really just looking to curve out. I would say always keep Wild Spirits and actually always toss away the Stag Charge. Stag Charge just actually doesn't seem to be good enough to keep it in your opening hand. Other than that, look for the 1-drops, look to curve out, and also keep Spirit Poacher. We're going to hop into some gameplay. Right off the bat here, it looks like we're against a Druid. I feel like this is probably going to be sired to Nathria's Druid, although I have run into a like an aggro Druid. I think we actually want to keep Ramming Mount. If the Slither Spear sticks and we get the Ramming Mount on it, it's going to do a ton of damage over the following turns. And if the Slither Spear is removed, likely the only way it could be removed is if they play that the 3/1 Rusher for 1 mana, the name of which escapes me. Some kind of Druid, I think. Help Keeper, we're not worried about that. So if it does get removed, we could potentially just play like a Batty Guest. But we're going to have an interesting decision to make here right off the bat. We can coin Ramming Mount on this, or we can just go Spirit Poacher. Okay, so it actually is getting removed. I haven't seen anybody lucky enough to high roll Wrath off of the Planted Evidence. So that is a bit unfortunate. So we're going to get the Spirit Poacher down and likely just go into Wild Spirits. Happy to see the big boy here, the 2/5, versus the Fox 3/1 with Rush. Wouldn't be that good. So we're going to Wild Spirits here. Another option would be actually to Stag Charge and Wild Spirits the following turn. But I think we just want to go wide. We can go Wild Spirits, maybe even coin out the Batty Guest. We want to go as wide as we can because at some point they're going to be playing things like Scale of Onyxia, Flipper Friends, and things like that. So we're going to go ahead and do this. 2/5 is going to protect the rest of our board. We do get the Fox here, but we also get the Stag, which is going to give us the big 4/2 bow. That's going to be good. And we're going to play the turn out just like this. Next turn, I'm hoping we find something to do that will allow us to spend our mana. If not, it might actually just be Ramming Mount. Try to get a buff on something, and of course going face. The 2/5 is going to protect our board even if they are able to play a spell here. Probably the best thing that our opponent could do would be to maybe play Guff or maybe play Nourish to gain mana crystals. If they're unable to gain mana crystals, that's going to be pretty good for us. Makes me think our board is going to be sticking around. They do gain a mana crystal, but our board is still intact as well. Aimed Shot, I think we want a Ramming Mount. We want to be able to capitalize on our damage on the board, and then we'll look to next turn probably Aimed Shot, Hero Power, the following turn another Aimed Shot, Hero Power. Hopefully being able to pile on some damage. Question is, where do we put the Ramming Mount? We make this a 7 attack minion. may actually not matter. If they have a Scale of Onyxia or a Flipper Friends, likely our entire board just gets removed anyway. And of course all damage is going face here. We really just need to rush down our opponent before they can start to do powerful things. They haven't tutored anything out. They also started with 40 cards, so we've got that going in our favor. Possibly no Scale of Onyxia here. That would be the best possible outcome for us. And they may not even have a Sire Denathrius in hand yet, which again would be a good outcome for us. So really we're just at the mercy of the cards that are in our opponent's hand. If they have the correct cards, they're actually going to be able to clear our board. And then at that point it starts to become unlikely that we'll be able to win this game just because they're still at 28 health. Unfortunately, our opponent does top deck the Scale of Onyxia. Still 31 cards in their deck. And this ends up being a full board clear. Really hard to swallow, man. I've been seeing 40 card decks absolutely high rolling. And it's easy to get distracted like that, to think, oh wow, my opponent RNG has been really good. But when you start thinking like that, you can potentially cause yourself a lot of mental problems. So we're going to refocus here, and we're actually going to change our plan. The expected plan was just aim shot hero power. I think we want to try to protect the 5/4. We've already seen one scale, our opponent's low on cards, and again 31 cards still left in the deck. So we're going to stag charge and ping. That'll actually activate the Terror Coil here as well. We get a second stag, that's going to be good. It'll give us another 4/2 weapon. It's just going to take several turns for it to wake up at this point. Next turn, this will be active, so we'll go this ping, and then the following turn it'll be like aim shot ping into aim shot ping the following turn, and hopefully that's going to give us enough damage to kill our opponent. Again, that looks like another top deck Scale of Onyxia. The game is being mean to me. Our opponent's still going to have to just focus on removing our board, though. Didn't want a quick shot this turn because I want the aim shot to be the spell that's repeated. So we're going to aim shot, ping, and likely quick shot next turn into a following turn of aim shot and ping. So it's really going to come down to whether or not our opponent has Denathrius in hand. Seems unlikely. They haven't been able to tutor it with any kind of capture Cold Tooth Mine. We're just going to be looking to kill them hopefully next turn, and we're going to use all of our mana. Of course, all damage is going face. So close to being able to kill him. Denathrius, I think, allows them to survive. I'm not sure. Let's see, they've had actually enough minions die that I think Denathrius probably wins them the game here. That is not Denathrius, so we're looking pretty good. This wakes up, that's going to be 4 damage. We also have aim shot ping is going to be 7 damage, so we can do as much as 11. Even if they hit an Earthen Scales here, it's probably not going to be enough. They would now need Innervate Earthen Scales. Our opponent's checking, and yes, it does wake up, so it looks like we're actually winning this. And we win. So, you know, pretty solid game there. We did the right things. Actually felt like our opponent had some good RNG. They top-decked Scale 2 turns in a row. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Probably might need to actually go back and look at that because it's so hard to believe. But you can see sometimes bad things happen. Your opponent does draw cards. Your opponent does play cards. It's just important to stay focused on what we're doing and not so much on... We need to think about what our opponent can do, but we don't necessarily want to focus on like the RNG aspect of it because it can really take your mind to a negative place. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw the top deck Scale, it frustrated me a little bit. It's hard to keep that under control. Certainly when you see the second one, again, just hard to keep that under control. But the second one actually wasn't all that important. Our opponent clearing our first board actually was important. If that board had stuck around one extra turn, we were likely just going to be guaranteed the win unless there were some really big shenanigans. So, but solid game there, and we're going to be moving right along. So it looks like our opponent is actually going to be Rogue this time. Rogue, as far as I know, there's really only one deck, and that's going to be the Miracle deck. That means they're going to be playing like Snowfall Graveyards, they're going to be playing Loan Sharks, they are going to want a lot of coins, and then they are going to want to actually just be able to kill us in one big turn. Actually, we likely don't die in one big turn. I think we got to make this trade. We just need other stuff to do. Wild Spirits is a good pickup. Spirit Poacher into Wild Spirits is going to be our tentative plan. But, I guess all the damage maybe lands in one turn, but they can't do it the same turn that they set it up. But likely we would see a Door of Shadows that's going to create like a 12 or 14 health stealth minion that we can't interact with. I've seen it done with Edwin as well. They just create like a huge Edwin and they use all the coins in their hand to continue playing the cards coming off the top of their deck. That's a little bit unfortunate. So the way that we do the most damage here is going to be Wild Spirits, likely into Terror Coil. Nice to hit a stag there. We're going to need that bow. And then also with the Necrolord Draka, they can just get a big weapon, so it's possible we may actually have to be able to survive a turn after all those things happen, and the only way that we'll be able to survive a turn is if we can actually land the, what is it, the Bear Spirit? The 2/5 Taunt. If we could actually get 2 of those off the Stag Charge, that would feel pretty good. Looks like our opponent's going to be removing some of the power on the board. That's bad news for us, good news for them. And they're starting to accumulate coins. Of course, they may actually go in now and just create their... and they do. They made a 2/4, which is a little bit small, but I'm assuming that means they're going to use it defensively. So we're going to keep to our plan here, play the Terror Coil. Next turn, we've got Stag Charge. It's going to go off twice, and we'll see. Could be Hero Power. It may actually just be better to put a Peasant on the board, especially if we top deck another 1-drop, just to give things for our opponent to have to remove if they can. If they can't, that's going to be extra damage. And our opponent's actually spending all their coins on this turn, which is interesting. So they're getting the big weapon. It's only a 5-attack weapon, though. It's pretty interesting. They must be really afraid of just dying. This isn't enough to actually kill us, and this... I'm not even sure if this is the correct way to play this deck. They seem to be playing in a way that's more... They're trying to play it as a tempo deck more so than like a, you know, a combo deck, it feels like. So I think we just Stag Charge face and then play our 1-drops. And we actually end up with 2 Rushers, which I actually don't like. But it is what it is. Our opponent will be able to make another stealth minion, but without any coins in hand. Looks like we could be in good shape here. We've got 4 going face. Likely we're just going to double ramming mount. Here we see the Edwin come down. It's feeling pretty good this game. Again, I'm not sure if our opponent necessarily played... Yeah, I really don't think they played this deck correctly. You want to hold the coins. You want to hit like really, really big Edwins. Really, really big minions off of the Sinstone Graveyard. So it actually felt like they even had the tools necessary. They had everything except maybe the Snowfall Graveyard. But if they had held onto those coins, tried to make a bigger Edwin, tried to make like a bigger weapon from the Draka, tried to make a bigger minion off of the location here, it feels like that would have actually been a lot stronger. They were just a little bit too worried about the damage that we were going to be able to do. So possibly misplayed from our opponent. But, you know, without being able to see the cards that are in their hands, can't really say that for sure, but it definitely looked a little bit weird from our side. So that is actually going to do it for the video. This updated list of Wildseed Hunter Seems to be doing pretty good. Feel free to check it out. Again, I still have my no craft warning in effect. I'm advising people to wait a week, possibly 2 weeks before you craft. So as an example, anybody that may have crafted Altamore that was in some of the theory craft lists, doesn't look like Altamore is actually going to be good enough to make it, at least in this deck. So if you're going to craft, please just be careful. I'm Uncorrupt. Thank you for watching. Good luck out on the ladder.